The meaning of life is to find your purpose. The purpose of life is to give your purpose away, you know? And your purpose is the biggest gift that you're going to give to humanity.
Well, hello, Carlos, and thank you very much for coming to my show, to About Freedom Show. And I would like to hear your story. I watched it on several channels, a couple of times, two or three times, and I was just blown away by the story and the way you tell it, and the way it changed you, this experience. You can start by, if you can tell me a little bit about your life before this happened.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me to your program, Sergey. I'm really glad to be here. And well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Um, like before this experience, I wasn't too spiritual or anything. I was just working, working, working. When you live here in the United States, you just work all the time,
Right.
and I didn't have time for anything else. Anyways, something that changed me was in my when I was 14 years old that I make a promise to God that I'm going to tell the whole world that if He healed me, I will tell that He was real. But I never did because I was a kid. I was 14 years old. And that's when my second experience came in 2015. And that's when He said, okay, I've been waiting. And that changed my life. Before this, like I said before, I was working. I was raised in a Catholic family. But when I moved to here to the area where I live in Atlanta, I've been working 20 years for my company, and I was just focused on just working. But things happen, and this is when my story came out. I mean, just something that came out of the blue. If you want me, I can tell you the story. Let me
Yeah,
tell you the
definitely.
story of my 14 years old. So when I was 14 years old, I was diagnosed with a terminal disease. It was leukemia. And one morning, I went to the bus stop and I started feeling dizzy and I started feeling bad. And I didn't know what I had. And I have a blackout. And then because I was studying at Catholic school in the 80s and 90s, Catholic school were very strict. And I didn't want to say anything to the nuns at the school or to my mom. And I just waited. I said, "Well, maybe this is going to pass." And after like a month, it was getting worse and worse and worse until I said, I need to tell my mom something is going on. So I wait that day till 9 and say, Mom, we need to go to a doctor. Something is really bad inside of me. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling very, very dizzy every day. It's getting worse. So my mom said, okay, let's go. And I started going to doctors. So we went to 10 different doctors and nobody knew what I had. But the last three doctors said, you should go to a specialist on blood because this specialist can tell you what you have because he's going to do a study what's going on with your blood. So we went to the most expensive doctor in the city. He was an hematologist. When we went to this hematologist, he did a lot of tests on me. And the last test, it was a bone marrow sample, biopsy of the bone marrow. And after he did that biopsy, he said, okay, I got the test, the final test with me. I want your mom, your dad, and you to get inside of my office. So I went inside of his office and he said to my mom and dad, you guys can sit down. Carlos, I have a news for you. He sat down his desk. My mom and dad was in front of him. I said, yes, what happened? And he said, well, I just have bad news. You have a terminal disease. It's called leukemia, and you have 3 months to live. I said, 3 months to live? What? And in that moment, when he said that, I heard a voice inside of me that said, he don't have the last word. I had. I'd never say anything to my parents because my mom was very, very strict. And I know my mom is going to slap me on my face thinking that I'm making this up. So I keep this to myself. But the doctor continued talking with my mom and dad. My mom started crying. My dad started crying. It's like, this is not happening. Why is this happening to our son? Then my mom crying and crying, grabbed the doctor by the teacher and said, like, doctor, please, please, you need to help my son. he cannot die like this. You have daughters and you have sons, and you will go to the end of the world to do something for them. And then the doctor said, okay, lady, sit down. I have two options. I said, no, option number one is we can go to Houston, Texas, and do a bone marrow transplant, and maybe that can work. So my mom said, how much is that going to cost? And the doctor said, well, maybe you're going to have to sell your house, your cars, and everything you have in order to pay for this. And my mom said, okay, if I do all that, you assure me 100% that he's going to be alive? And the doctor said, well, no, lady, I mean, we're going to try to do our best, but we don't know. It's going to be 50-50. My mom said, no, I don't like that option. What about the second option? The second option is going to France, to Paris, and working with another hematologist, creating this formula for bone marrow transplant. And maybe if you bring that formula here, we can start working with that formula. But Carlos is going to be like a laboratory rat. He's going to be the first testing of this, but you have to sign a lot of paperwork that you want to do this. So my mom said, yeah, 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 let's do that. And my mom signed all the paperwork. My dad signed all the paperwork. And my mom used to work for the Air Force. One of her colleagues go to France, bring the formula, and I start taking the formula. And to take this formula, I have to be in my house. The doctor wanted me to stay at the hospital for 3 months, but at that age, I didn't have insurance. And the doctor said, this is going to cost a fortune. So if you stay at home, I can tell you how to do everything at home. So if you have a nurse, I give everything, all the stuff to the nurse, and you can do everything at home. So that's what we did. Our neighbors next door was a nurse. So she took all the medications and everything, and she knew how to give everything to me. So for the first month, I was taking the medication, and the doctor called my mom and said, "You need to come to the office, and we need to run some tests on Carlos to see if he's working or not." We went to his office, and then he checking everything. I said, like, it's not working as well as I would love to. So, but we need to finish the whole treatment to see how he will respond. So he started telling me, Carlos, you need to continue the treatment. So I did. And a month and a half, my mom crying, my dad crying. I feel super bad. And I said to myself, you know what? I have an idea. So the idea was, I have an uncle that he had a lot of money. And I said to my mom, Mom, why we don't call my uncle and get the money from him? And my mom said, no, you don't want to ask the money to your uncle because you don't know him. So I prefer to not do that, okay? But one day my mom go to work, my dad's go to work, and I say, wait a minute, I'm gonna die. They're not gonna die. I'm gonna call my uncle. I call my uncle and I explained what was my situation. And then my uncle said, Carlos, I'm sorry, but I cannot help you. And he hung up the phone. As soon as he hung up the phone, my entire world turned black. And I said, you know what? This is it. I'm gonna die. And then I go on my knees and I say, okay, God, I guess this is it. But in that moment, I start feeling heat all over my body. And I say, wait a minute, I'm studying in a Catholic school that they told me, if you pray with all your heart, there is a God that He can help you and He can heal you. So in that moment, I went on my knees and I prayed, God, if you really exist, and I said, you know what, let's do a deal right here. If you save me from this cancer, I'm gonna tell the whole world that you're real, because I'm going to be a living proof that you exist. So please do your best, and please, God, help me. And from that moment, I start praying every day. I start doing visualizations. I was 14 years old, but these images came to my mind, like just touched every part of my body and said, you're healing, you're healing, you're healing. Every day I was saying, thank you, God, for my healing. Thank you, God, for my healing. And every day I started imagining in the future that I was getting a new job, that I was getting graduated at the university, that my life was amazing. So, like, for me to do not get depressed, just imagine my future. 3 months pass, and I fast forward 3 months, and then the doctor called my mom and said, okay, it's time for the final exams. So we go to the hospital, and when we get there, the doctor said, well, you need to get the CT scan. The CT scan is the tunnel. They have all the X-ray. I go on the tunnel. He took all the exams on the CT scan, and then An hour later, the result came out. And the doctor said, lady, to my mom, I don't know what happened, but the cancer disappeared. So my mom, oh my God, doctor, this is a miracle. This is amazing. Oh my God, thank you, God. Oh my God. And the doctor said, lady, I'm sorry, but miracles doesn't exist. This is called remission. Remission is when the cancer disappears and then come back later, more aggressive. It's because we give so many medications to him that that's what happened. And in that moment, I heard the voice inside of me saying, this will never happen again. And from that day until today, I never had cancer again. So I thank you to God. And what happened? After this happened, years later, 2015, that's when my second miracle came. Do you have any questions till now, or you're fine?
No, I would like to listen to the second story, which is in the
Okay.
book. The book,
Yes.
by the way, it's called Help
Help
from
from heaven.
Heaven,
I have,
Miracle. Yeah,
yeah, right here.
yeah, yeah.
Help from heaven.
I know. And by the way, I want to tell about the books. I didn't
Yes.
read it yet,
Okay.
but I Googled it and I read the reviews. And this is
Uh
the
huh.
first time
Uh
in a
huh.
long time that I've seen a book with 100% five-star reviews. It's
Oh,
like every review is five-star.
well, I mean, I guess the story has been touching some lives, and this is why I wanted to do the. I didn't at the beginning. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to go on YouTube or do interviews, or I just want to keep it to myself.
Yeah,
But then people start telling me at church the first time that I did my testimony, everybody says, "No, you need to write a book." And then I start going to a lot of places to get my testimony, and everybody, "Come on, you need to do the book." And after years hearing this, I said, "You know what, God? If it's on you that you want me to do this book, just put everything in front of me, and I'll do it." And then, like weeks later, after I said this and praying, I was invited to a meeting, and then on the meeting, it was a representative from University of Georgetown University, and they have a program to write a book, and I got involved, and that's how I wrote my book. It took me 1 year during the pandemic, but it was something really really amazing. It wasn't easy because I work all day, so I have to wake up every day at 3 a.m. in the morning to get inspired,
right.
to pray, and to put. So
Yeah,
everything that I put in my book was from the bottom of my heart. Everything that I felt, But now I'm going to the second story. So the second
please.
story happened in 2015. In
Okay.
2015, I'm going. One morning, I wake up, I turn the TV on, and there is a massacre on the TV. And I couldn't believe this was happening because it was in a school in Colorado. So I said to myself, you know what, God, I'm tired. This is, it made me feel bad. It feel me mad, like if there is a God, why this is happening? I mean, I don't want to believe in you anymore if you don't explain me right now what's going on. And in that moment, my phone rang. One of my best friend, Jorge, called me and said, like, Carlos, what are you doing next week? It's Memorial Day. And I said, like, no, I'm not doing anything. Well, let's go to the beach. My family's coming from out of town and we're going to drive all there. I said, sure, let's go. So we traveled to Panama City Beach here in Florida. Well, they're in Florida because I'm in Georgia. And when we get there, all the places that we were packed with people because it was a holidays. And after we went to 3 or 4 places, I tell to my friends, you know what? Let's go to a park. It's called San Andrews State Park. We go into that park, and as soon as we get in, we pay for the ticket. We get a shuttle bus. The shuttle bus takes us to a marina. From the marina, the boat take us to the island. It was a beautiful day. In that moment, in Florida, the weather changed very rapidly. So sometimes it's raining, and 20 minutes later it's sunny.
I
so
know. I'm in
that
Virginia Beach. It's the same thing here. Like yesterday was sunny. Today it's a storm.
well, when we arrived in Panama City that day, in the morning it was raining, then thunderstorm, the sun again. So it was changing during the day. But when we arrived to the island, it was sunny. And then we get the boat and we arrived to Shell Island. It's in the middle of the ocean. So when we arrived to the bayside, it was packed too with a lot of people because it was a holiday. And then my friend Carlos is it's like, well, I didn't know all these people is gonna be here, but let's do something. Let's go to the back of the island. So I said, okay. So we start walking and we get to the back of the island. When we get to the back, there was nobody there. Why? Because it's open ocean, it's more dangerous. And then from there, I have a canopy and I open my tent and we stay there from from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. Everything was fine. We have an amazing time. Around 4 p.m., my friend said, Carlos, we want to walk around the island. Do you want to come with us? I said, like, no, guys, you go yourself because I've been coming here for like 10 years. So I know this island. But you need to come back like in an hour because the last boat leave at 5:30. I said, okay, we come back here. I said, okay. So they left. I was by myself and I made the huge mistake. And for everybody that's listening right now, never go into the ocean if there's nobody watching. Okay. I didn't know that because I don't live on the beach on the ocean. Even that I trust myself because when I was a kid, I was on a swimming team and I used to compete. That made me feel like, like on power that go and swim and nothing's going to happen. But I didn't know the dangers of the ocean. Get what happened. So what happened after everybody left? 10 minutes later, I jump into the water. I start swimming, and then this whirlpool under the water throw me far, far away. It was a riptide current. If you guys have seen the movie Finding Nemo, you can see a tunnel of water that take all the fishes far, far away. It's called Australian current. So the same thing happened to me. This current took me far, far away. When I pulled my head out of the water, I was like half a mile away of the island. The island was super tiny. I was like, how in the world I'm here? And I said, okay, I don't want to panic. I'm just going to swim back. So I start swimming back, swimming back, swimming back. And then I pulled my head out of the water. When I put my head out of the water, I couldn't believe it. I even was farther and farther. Why? Because the riptide is taking me even inside of the ocean, farther inside the ocean. So I tried swimming, swimming, tried to swim more, 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 more. Open my eyes more farther. Like, what's going on? What's going on? For over 20, 30 minutes, I'm fighting, I'm fighting, I'm fighting. And you cannot fight with a riptide. I didn't know that. After 25, 30 minutes, I'm completely exhausted. I started, I started getting cramps on my arms, on my legs. And in that moment, I looked to the island. It's so far. I said, you know what? This is it. It's about to be 5:30. The last boat from Shell Island is going to leave. Nobody's watching. This is perfect for me to die. And in that moment, I said, you know what, God? If this is it, I never thought that today is going to be my last day. But if you want to take me now, I'm ready. But before I go, I need to say something. I need to say thank you. I need to say thank you for my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters. Thank you for everything you gave me. And I'm sorry if I did something wrong. And as soon as I said that, behind me, I heard a voice that said, ask for help. And I looked everywhere and I didn't see anybody. I was like, what? And this voice came again, ask for help. And I was like, are you kidding me? Could you please help me? Nothing, just the water and the wind. It's like, this is my imagination. And then the third time, I told you to ask for help. I was like, oh my God, don't you see that I'm never going to get out of here? But okay, I'm going to ask for help. So in that moment, I start waving my hands, help, 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 help. At the end of the island, one of my friends came out of the group. He went to the top of a hill because he was looking everywhere for me because he felt something was wrong. He couldn't find me nowhere. So when he went to the top of the hill, he saw me far, far away, and he started jumping. Carlos, Carlos, I'm gonna call 911. Guess what? He didn't call 911. He went back to the tent. He grabbed some tubings, went back to the top of the hill, and dropped the tubings. But guess what? The wind was blowing to his face, so all the tubings was flying back to him. Plus, I was like half a mile away, and in that moment, like, oh my God, this is not working. Hold on, hold on. So he ran to the other side of the island. It wasn't too far, and he started grabbing people that was boarding the boats going back to Panama City. So a lot of people started running my way, and then they started running to the top of the hill, and six guys jumped from the top of the hill, and everybody started swimming my way. And when I see the guys coming my way, I was like, "Oh my God, thank you, God, thank you, God! They're gonna save me! They're gonna save me!" Guess what? 10 minutes later, we hear a thunder behind me, and I look back, and the sky is turning black. It's a thunderstorm coming, waves start coming bigger behind me, and it looks really bad. I see lightning behind me, and I said, oh my God. And when I look in front of me, everybody starts turning around because nobody's going to save me. And in this moment, I said, you know what, God? I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to surrender because I cannot do anything. And how many times in your life, the life of the people that listen to this program, we are paralyzed by fear because we cannot do anything. Maybe sometimes we lose our jobs and we don't have the money to pay our rent, or we don't have food to feed our children, or we have cancer, or we have another sickness, and we're desperately, we get paralyzed. We cannot do anything. And in that moment, that's what I said. I surrender, God. I cannot do anything. Please take it from this point. And in that moment, a huge wave came and crushed me all the way under the ocean. When I was under the ocean, I opened my eyes and I see far, far away a black shadow that's coming my way. So I was like, oh my God, shark. So I covered my eyes just waiting for the bite. But when I was waiting, this thing grabbed me by my stomach and pushed me all the way to the top. And when I get out of the water, I see this big thing. Guess what it was? A great dolphin. So I grabbed the dolphin by the tail, by the fin, and I was like, oh my God, dolphin. So I started crying like I couldn't believe a dolphin saved me. And I was there and just looking at his face, like, how do you save me? Like, how do you know that I'm dying here? Anyways, 10 minutes passed, and a feature boat showed up in front of me, and he said, son, I can help you, but I cannot get close to you because the waves, they are so big, and I'm going to hit you with my boat. So you stay there. I'm going to throw you a rope. So he threw me a rope. I go to the boat, and when I get to the boat, I get air because I'm super tired. So like, oh. So when I do this, the guys are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, like, sorry, I'm super tired. I've been here for over 30 minutes more, 30, 40 minutes. I'm exhausted. I said, like, no, you don't understand. You need to hurry up and get in. I said, like, why? I said, because my boat is sinking. I said, your boat is sinking? What? What? What are you talking about? I said, I have a pump inside of my boat, and the pump is stopped, and all the waves, they're getting inside of my boat, and my whole boat is getting floated. So you need to hurry up, go to the back. There are some steps, a ladder into the water, and just climb that and jump in. So I went to the back. The dolphin is still next to me. I see the ladder on the water. I climb and I jump inside of the boat, and the water was like this. And I said, sir, do you have a bucket? I help you to get the water out of the boat. I said, like, no, 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 we don't have time for that. Come on, sit down next to me. So I sit down next to him. He put a towel over me, and he said, okay, son, are you okay? Let me start getting out of here. So he started driving out of there, right? I said, like, sir, yeah, I'm fine. So where's your family and friends? Everybody's there. What happened to you? He said, well, a big whirlpool under the water brought me all the way here, and I couldn't get out. I said, okay, let me ask you a question. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. What about you, sir? I said, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, too. What part? I said, I'm from Duluth. And he said, I'm from Norcross. Duluth and Norcross is in front of each other. It's like, what? We're neighbors, too. This is amazing. And in that moment, the guy's like, oh, my God, look behind you, look behind you. And he grabbed his camera and he started filming. When I look behind me, the dolphin started jumping behind the boat, and he started following us all the way around the island. So when we get to the base side of the island, the guy says, son, I have to leave you right here because I need to fix my boat. But if you want to see me again, every Memorial Day, I'm going to be here. So I have to leave you right here. God bless you. You can walk from here because the level of the water is low. But you remember, if you want to see me again, every Memorial Day, you come here. So I jump off the boat. I say, thank you. God bless you. And I start walking from there to the shore. And when I was walking, something hit my leg. And when I look back, the dolphin was behind me. And I start crying like, oh my God, what is this? What is this dolphin follow me? And then when I get to the shore, I go on my knees and I said, you know what, God? Let me tell you something. If you save me with this dolphin right here, it's because you have a purpose for my life. I don't understand and I don't know why you saved me, but from today, let me tell you something. Carlos died into the ocean. The person who's coming out of the water is going to be you. I want you to take over my life, over my soul, and whatever you have to do it through me. In that moment, I felt so much love inside of me. And in that moment, it started thundering, lightning, it started raining, dolphin leave. And at that moment, all the people that was looking for me on the other side started running my way. They were start hugging me, crying. The police arrived. They take me back to San Andreas State Park. And then they asked me, what happened to you? I said, what happened? I didn't know the riptide took me. You guys don't have a red flag, like saying like the ocean is dangerous or a sign that is what is a riptide. So I didn't know. And lifesavers, so just be careful for next time. So they apologized right there. And then my friends, Carlos, what do you want to do? I said, like, just take me to a church. This was a miracle. I want to say thank you to God. So we dropped out of the national park, and the first church that was around there was a Catholic church. get out of the car. Ev- all my friends and people that came behind us from the beach. So we're trying to get inside of the church, but the church was closed. So outside was a chapel and a garden. So everybody hugged each other and we did a big circle and we prayed for like 20, 30 minutes. After we pray, my friends asked me, Carlos, what do you want to do now? I said, just take me to the hotel. I need to take a shower, get something to eat, and go to sleep. I said, okay. So they drove me back to the hotel. As soon as I get there, I eat something, took a shower, and I went to sleep. And as soon as I put my head on the pillow, something happened. I never in my life have an epiphany, but that day I have an epiphany. An epiphany is like a vision. I thought it was a dream. So I close my eyes. When I open again, I'm on the third floor of a cruise on the Caribbean. So in front of me is a blue skies, blue ocean, sunny day, beautiful. But at the end of the ocean, I see a tsunami rising my way. I was like, oh my God, tsunami, I'm going to die. So I cover my eyes and I say, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes pass. And then nothing happens. Like, what's going on? And then somebody come behind me like, hey, Carlos, look at me. I was like, no, we're about to die. We're about to die. And he said, you're never going to die with me. I said, who are you? I said, look at me. And I was afraid. I didn't know who he was. I was like, I don't want to know. I said, come on, Carlos, look at me. So I take my hands out of my face. And when I look back, this guy taller than me. He was like 6'5". He had a white robe. I couldn't see his face because it was light coming from his face. And he said, Carlos, close your eyes, please. So I closed my eyes and he hugged me from behind. And then 10 seconds later, he said, open your eyes, please. So I opened my eyes, and in front of me, I was in heaven. So I was like, what? I'm in heaven? So this means that I die? I die? And I look back and it's like, you Jesus? I was like, oh my God, Jesus, no, 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 no. You need to take me back. I cannot die right now. I have to do a lot of stuff. Please, please. And he said, Carlos, you did a promise to me, and you need to fulfill your promise. Welcome to heaven. From today, you're part of me and part of all of them. And when he said all of them, millions of people show up in front of me dressed in white robes. Everybody was glowing and beautiful. And then he said, do you have any questions? I said, like, yes. So what's your question? So number one, where all these millions of people come from? That they're coming from all over the world. I said, okay. And do you have another question? He asked me. I said, yes. What is the true religion? There are thousands of religions all over the world, and I need to know what is the true religion. And he said, well, the only thing that I can tell you is when you come to heaven, there is no religions in heaven. What you're going to find in heaven is the love of God. The love of God is the most powerful force in the universe, and that's what is going to unite the whole humanity in one. Now, let's walk in heaven. I'm going to give you a life review. So he put his arm over me and we start walking. Then he got his arm and he do like this. And then videos like from my whole life since I born until that time, everything that happened in my life flashed in front of me. And what I saw was people, for every decision that I took, for everything that I did, like I was seeing every decision from the other point of view. If I treat somebody bad, or I say something that it wasn't good to another person, I was putting in the other person's side, so I could feel the pain in the other person. But Jesus wasn't judging me. So he showed me several images like that, the good and bad that I did in life, that we all do, because we're all humans. And then after I saw that, he said, okay, Carlos, it's time for you to go back. But before go back, I need to tell you something. You need to tell people that they need to forgive. I said, they need to forgive. Why they need to forgive? I said, well, because more than 98% of people around the world have childhood trauma. And they need to forgive three people. Number one, their parents. Why their parents? It doesn't matter if they abandoned you, if they didn't like you, if they abused you, or they never took care of you. They did the best they could to give you the best you have. Number two, you need to forgive your inner child. That little child inside of you, he was scared, he was afraid, and he was panic. So it's not his fault what happened in his childhood. And number three, you need to forgive everybody that came to your life and harm you. Why? When you forgive your parents, your inner child, and the people that harm you, You're not forgiving them, you're forgiving yourself. In that moment, you open your heart and you throw away all the hate, all the resentment, and all the poisons that have been eating you for years. And in that moment, is you have like a string with a balloon, and you cut the string and let the balloon go. In that moment, you're free. And when you're free, that's when you open your heart again and get your treasure chest. And what is in your treasure chest? Your purpose. Because everybody came to Earth with a purpose. Nobody came here to do anything. Everybody came for something. And what is your purpose? The only thing that you do better than anybody else, you know? Some people cook amazing. Some people know how to speak with more people. Some people sing amazing. So you know what is your gift. And if you don't want to do that, second purpose is called service. Why service? Because when we die, we're not taking our material things. We're not taking our cars, our houses, our titles, or money, or Bitcoin, nothing. The only thing that we're going to take is how many people we love, how many people we give advice, how many people we give shelter, how many people we give food, everything, you know? What was the blueprint that you left on this earth for others to follow? Look, Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Princess Diana, Martin Luther King, what they did was service, and their service continued until today. Now, my final question for everybody that's listening right now is what are you doing today to leave a blueprint of love and a legacy than everybody else after you finish your purpose here on earth? Everybody's going to follow what you did. And one day, when you go to heaven and they ask you, what's worthy for you, what you did on earth? I say, yes, I help a lot of people. I did a lot for others. I love people. So you can show proudly what you did here on earth. And that's my story.
Wow, it's amazing, my friend. But let me ask you this: how do people
Sure.
find their purpose?
Look, uh, I believe that since you are a child, there is something inside of you. Like for example, when I was a child, I used to play with Legos all the time, and I used to build stuff, you know. And I love construction, but I didn't know that in the future that's what I want to do. Every time that you're growing up, society tell you, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you shouldn't do this," and you start losing what you got inside of your heart. That little purpose that you are putting so much love on it, you know. That's why you have to listen to your heart, you know, because if you hear what your mom or dad, of course they want the best for you, but you know inside of your heart that is something, that is a calling inside of your heart that is telling you you should do this, just keep on this, you should do this. But then for X or J reason, you get out of the way because it's like, man, maybe it's not working. Why I'm gonna be a painter? What I'm gonna be a writer? Why I'm gonna be an actor? What I'm gonna be a singer? Because my parents said that's not gonna give any money, so they prefer to be a doctor or of an engineer or something big, or administrator or something like that. But if your heart is telling you you should do painting because you paint beautiful, and the painting is going to cultivate people. It's because I believe that's your purpose. Or if you need to sing because every time that you open your mouth and you sing in front of people, everybody can come down and everybody love the way that you do it. So what you do the best, and that you need to follow that from your childhood. Everything comes inside of you. You come with a package, and it's up to you to open that package and follow it. Even sometimes in life, you don't follow your package and you say, you know what, let me be an engineer. And I know a lot of people that they study for lawyers or administrator, and then they never do that. You know, after they study the whole career, said, you know what, I don't like to be a lawyer. I just want to be a chef. I want to cook for people, and that's what I'm gonna do. And they just hang the title in the kitchen, and they start doing what they really want because their hearts aligned for what they really love to do. So, what do you think about that?
So they finally listened to the inner voice and decided
Yes.
to do what they love. I'm going to tell you about myself. When I was about 13 or 14 years old,
Uh huh.
my stepfather gave me a camera, a Russian camera,
Uh huh.
pretty old one to film. Back then it was film
Yes.
and stuff. And I started playing with that camera. It's like Started taking picture. I became a photographer. And
Oh
here I
wow.
am taking a video. So,
So you follow your heart. That's what
right,
everybody have to do. Just follow your heart
right.
and
Anytime,
believe what your heart is telling you. You know, sometimes you say, "No, these are little boys that talk inside of me," and you know that it happened. You know when you go on a trip and this little voice, "Don't go, don't go, don't go," and then I don't want to hear it, and then you go and then an accident happens. Like, oh my god, why didn't hear my little voice? You know, so you need to listen to that voice.
exactly, yeah. But you see, people got to make a living all the time. They have bills to pay, and they think, I'm going to do this later. I love doing this, but I'm not right now. I'll do it later. I'll do it later.
Hmm.
And then you look, it's like 40, 50, 60 years old. They're still not doing what they like to do. And they
I
suffer because of
I
it.
have two examples. Like I think it was Harrison Ford. He was a carpenter until he was 34 or 35 years old,
Yeah,
and then he became an actor. And the guy who wrote the book, The Alchemist,
yeah.
Paulo
Paulo
Coelho.
Coelho.
Yeah,
Coelho.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he never pursued his career in writing because his
Right.
father said, "Oh, you're gonna lose your time on this. That's
Yeah,
not worth it. You shouldn't do it." And guess what? After 40 years old, he said, "You know what? I'm gonna do what my heart is telling me. I'm gonna
right,
write." And guess what? One of the most famous writers in
right.
the world is Paulo Coelho. There you
Yeah,
go.
it's that book is amazing. It's about science, like you said in an
Hmm.
interview, that you have to look for signs. Like
Yes.
when you guys left for the trip, you had
Hmm.
15 or signs that you had to
Hmm.
come back,
Yes.
and you never listened. Nobody listened.
I used to do not listen signs, but now the first one I just poof stop because I know that something is coming. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have angels that take care of us, and but they're always the signs in front of us for to avoid anything bad, you know. So it's up to us to follow these signs, these red flags that happen in front of us, you know.
So, how long it took you to get out of closet? So, out of the NDE closet?
Uh, so that happened in 2015, almost 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years
Okay.
because I was afraid, you know.
Yeah.
I have enough with my life to tell this story out there, and the haters are gonna come,
Right.
and fanatics.
Yeah, and they lock. I used to lock up people like this. They say, "What? You're crazy. We're gonna isolate you."
Why am I gonna start? I mean, I have enough with my life to start telling this story, but something happened. So what happened to me? A lot of miracles start happening to me for me to do this. So something was pushing me. Was God behind me? And I didn't believe it. I said, "No, this is my imagination. This is not happening. I have to concentrate my job. You know, my work." And I have so many signs. Like one day here in my house, around 3 a.m. in the morning, I hear a thunder, and the whole house illuminate like in blue. And then I hear a voice. The name of your book is gonna be Help from Heaven. It's like what? So I jump off my bed like what? Stop, please stop. So I just get out of my bed. I thought somebody breaking in my house. I turn off the lights and running the living room, dining room, everywhere, every room, turn the lights, nobody's there. And I was like, what? Help from heaven. So I just go on my computer and I type Help from Heaven. And then guess what? A video clip come out, and you want to just do it. Just go to Google and type Help from Heaven. And this video clip by Matt Riemann is going to come. And then when I played that, because there was nothing else there, I played this video clip, and the video explained me why God did this to me, why is this happening to me, what I drowned in the ocean, why He saved my life, what is the purpose, and what's going to come from this. I was like, what in the world? I mean, this was like, boom. So it made me cry right there. I said, like, wow. But still, after that, I didn't believe it too much. So somebody else invited me to a spiritual retreat. And during the spiritual retreat, I didn't want to come to the spiritual retreat because I have a lot of work. And this person begged me, like, come on, Carlos, you have to come. You have to come. At the end, I went, and it was one of the most amazing things I ever done in my life, you know. But the third day was the most amazing thing. What happened was the priest come and said, I want everybody to put your hands on the top of the Bible and ask a question to God. And I said, okay. So I put my hands on the top of the Bible and I said, okay, God, I want you to tell me if you really want me to write this book, what You need to show me something. You need to show me like something that really convinced me, you know? And the priest said, okay, tomorrow I give you the answer. I was like, yeah, right. That's what I thought, right? So the next day, we were 50 men, and they take us to a ballroom. And the priest said, okay, everybody at the door, nobody's going to pass. I want everybody, there are 50 chairs and you're 50 men. I want every one of you to get inside of this ballroom and sit down in different chairs, any chairs you want. So everybody sit down in a chair. Now on the top of the chair, there is a manila envelope, a yellow manila envelope. Put that on your legs. Now I'm going to count until 30 and you're going to pass the manila envelope through the whole room. Now, after you pass it, so he start counting one, two, three, four, five, 30. Stop. Now put the manila envelope that somebody else give you and put it on your legs. And now I'm gonna tell you the manila envelope that you grabbed your own chair. Nobody put you there. And the manila envelope that you got in your legs right now is not the same manila envelope that was in your chair when you arrived here because you passed it through the whole room. Now open the manila envelope and look what is inside. That's the answer to your question. And this is what was inside of my manila envelope.
Wow. Yeah.
So you see Jesus right here.
Yeah.
You see the Holy Spirit guiding the book. People
Hmm.
from every country get in the book, and I was like, okay, I'm okay. I think this was super clear. You know, I was like, wow, this is. And it's still with this, I still, I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, you know. And it was really hard for me to swallow all this, you know. And I don't know, I didn't say that to you during my story, but the first time that I went to church to tell my testimony, when I was in the middle of the testimony, a 17 years old raised her hand, said, excuse me, sir, excuse me, I want to ask you a question. I said, yes. How Jesus was with you? And said, he was behind me. Why he was dressing? He was dressing a white robe. Where you were? I was in front of him. Why? I said, I have to show you this. So she put the hair in front of her. She turned around, and the back of the chair, she have a printing on her back. And guess what's the printing? This image right here. And she said, it was like this. And I said, yep, it was exactly like this. You see it? So everybody at church was like, oh my God, you guys planned this and you make this up. It's like, number one, I live an hour away from here. Number two, I never been here. Number three, no, I don't know her. So this is a casualty or something, you know? And then the service end, I go home and I Google this image. And guess what this image come with? I put Jesus hugging a guy because that was the way that happened to me. And I found out this image and said it come with the story. In the year 1992, and very famous painter, his name is Thomas Blackshare, he started doing this painting. He started doing fasting for 2 weeks to be completely clear channel from God for him to paint the image of Jesus. And then he started praying and praying and praying. After 2 weeks, he started doing the painting. When he was half of the way of the painting, he said the Holy Spirit showed up and said, Thomas, it's a beautiful painting, but you're going to have to write a book and explain everybody what is the meaning of that painting. And why you're going to say that? Well, in the painting, you need to tell everybody what is the black in the background, is the darkness that we all have. In the front, the halo is the illumination that we all have, the love of Jesus, the compassion. Everything that is there, you need to write it down. So he wrote a book. And that's how, with after this painting, the name of the book is called Forgiveness. And that's my three things that I told you before. We need to forgive because forgive is going to open our hearts to continue living in this world, you know. A lot of people live with a lot of trauma inside of your body, and if you don't forgive what happened in your past, you will never be happy in your life, you know. And every time that you try to bury something that happened in the past, it's going to be reflected in inside of your body, you know. So it's really good to open up and let it go all that, because if not, we're going to carry that for life, and it's not good, you know.
Yeah. So after 4 or 5 years, you felt you felt like you have to start talking about this.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
didn't want
that,
to go on YouTube or nothing like
yeah, yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
And
Just,
this is what happened. Let me tell you. I went to a church last year from Mother Teresa. You know Mother Teresa Calcutta?
yeah,
So they invite me here in Atlanta. They have a big service of Mother Teresa. So they invite me to their church to give my testimony. When I finish, prophet, you know what's a prophet? The
yeah.
lady that can see. So she put my hands in my here and she said, Carlos, I need to tell you something. In 1 month from now, you're gonna be live on YouTube and your story is gonna be everywhere. And it's like, no, that's not gonna happen. I just write in the book and that's gonna be it. I just said like, well, that's not what God wants. God wants that this story go all over the world. I said like, lady, I'm not calling anyone, and believe me, I'm not doing that. I mean, I think the book is enough. And guess what? My birthday, June last year, somebody called me with a wrong number. Okay, and this lady was looking for a policeman. And she's like, hey, are you this police? I was like, no, ma'am, you get a wrong number. You need to dial again and blah, blah, blah. I said, but who are you? I said, well, and my name is Carlos. I work for this company. And then she said, where you live? I live in Atlanta and I do this and I'm writing a book. You write a book about what? Well, about an experience that I have. And she said, well, you know what? I have a YouTube channel. Can I interview you? I said, sure. I mean, I never had, and she was an old lady. So now I don't think nobody's going to listen to this. Guess what? As soon as she said that, we started recording the video on YouTube on my birthday last year. And as soon as we finished, she don't load the video. She didn't even do the edition of the video. And the vision went viral on YouTube. And as soon as it went viral on YouTube, I started getting calls and emails from everywhere, all over the world. It's like, oh my God, that lady was right at the church, you know? And some people ask me, how do you find people for the interviews or to this? Like, I don't look for nobody. People look for me. I mean, because I'm super busy all day. I work, I mean, full-time job and I don't have time, but I make time to do this for you guys because I need to give this story out there because right now, you know, everything that's been going on since COVID, people need hope. People need to know that something else is happening. I believe that it doesn't matter how bad the world is going right now, there is a divine plan. Even if you don't think it is a divine plan, believe me, the same way that it was hard for me to swallow, I know that something is going to happen for everybody to be fine. So, yes, you have a question for me?
Yeah, and it looks like, I would say a cliche, or maybe, but like a big awakening right now.
Yes.
More and more
Hmm.
people are interested in spiritual, in
Hmm.
spiritual subjects, not
Hmm.
basic religion like people would go in for thousands of years to church
Hmm.
and be scared and be in
Hmm.
fear, but they're looking for answers and differently. So it was the right time for you. But now, my question is this: do you think that God saved you in that ocean so you can come back anew, Carlos, and start preaching his word?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I mean, this is not the only experience that I have in my life. I have a lot of experience. Actually, I'm writing two more books right now. One is called Divine Miracles, and it's miracles that happen through my life, you know. And I never want to share that with anybody. My family knows, my friends know. But like I said, be like you, so like, no, people is gonna put you like, you know,
Right.
somewhere because this guy is just out of this blue, you know. But no, I mean, people need to know that is something else going on. And yes, my other book is called I Found Jesus in Vegas because I really found him in Vegas. I was with homeless and he was there, and it was an amazing story that I mean, it changed my life too. And I just want to tell people this is not the only one. Since I was a child, a lot of stuff happened to me, you know. But I thought that the stuff that was happening to me was happening to everybody else, so I didn't took it like, oh, maybe this is normal for people to happen. And then through life, I've been asking, hey, this happened to you? It's like, no, what? So I said, oh, this is something different here, you know. But I hear for a lot of people, like I said, everybody came with a purpose. I believe since before we came to this earth, there was a purpose for everyone. and we were created for a reason. And if we go into this big awakening, is for a reason, you know. And I guess those 2 years that everybody was trapped in their house, in their apartments, it was for them, for everybody to go to the inner soul and start checking inside of them. Because I did, and a lot of people did, you know. Then nobody could go to church, and I think that's when the big awakening came, where everybody started praying on their own, meditated on their own, and they start awakening that love inside of them to from outside. I don't know what you think about that.
I believe this is happening. Yeah, first time I grew up in Soviet Union. I'm from
Hmm.
Moldova, and
Okay.
we had no religion over there. It
Okay.
was just no religion at all. So everybody was an atheist. My family was atheist. So I started to search by myself. I
Yeah.
first went to one church and then to another church. And when I got to America, I discovered Self-Realization Fellowship. I was in Los Angeles. There
Uh
is an
huh.
organization called Self-Realization Fellowship,
Okay.
founded by Paramahansa Yogananda, and it's
Okay.
called Church of All Religions. Like you
Oh
said, there's
wow.
no, yeah, it's one and it says when you enter there, it says Church of All Religion. Everybody's welcome,
Oh wow. That's
and you
good.
enter there, and you go inside, and you have all the statues for all the religions, for all main
Yeah.
religions, Hinduism and Judaism and Christianity and Buddhism, all of them. You pray to anybody you want, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Definitely.
say, he says that as all the rivers flow and end in one ocean, the same thing, all religions, they all end with the same
Flow
God.
and
So it doesn't matter how you worship him, as long as you are doing it sincerely with your heart. And
I believe the same thing like you. Yeah, you're right. For me, it was really hard at the beginning to understand like why this is happening to me, because I'm not in a church all day, and I'm not a super prayer all
right,
day. You know, I used to pray since I was a child, because in Catholic school they chose how to pray every day, and I took that and I did it every day, and it conformed me a lot. You know, but later in life, and like I say, I wasn't a super Catholic or super Christian, you know, and that's why it was hard for me to swallow this. You know, it was hard for me to believe this. And then I said, well, I guess. And believe me, it was time that I said, you know what, grab somebody else, because I don't want to do that. You're crazy. You're kidding me? Like, no. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is too much on my back. Like, no. And I didn't understand why. But little by little, like I said on my book, life is like a spider web. You don't understand all the things that going through your life until later on, and
right,
then you start putting all the dots together and said, "Oh, this happened because if didn't happen, if I didn't meet that person, if that day I didn't have the accident, this wouldn't happen, and this wouldn't happen." And then, and you check everything, it's like, "Oh my God, it's a circle." You know,
right.
it
As
looks
long as
like
you don't,
everything was planned.
right, as long as you don't complain about it, but you learn from it to say, it's different perspective.
Oh yeah.
So when you had this experience, did you
Hmm.
try to talk to a priest in church and
Yes.
share that? So
Yes.
what his reaction was?
Oh, it wasn't good for me. So because I was afraid, I didn't know who to talk this with. You know, I said like I don't want to talk with my family because they're gonna think I'm crazy. My friends are gonna do the same. So let me go to church. And maybe they're gonna have an answer for it. So I went to 3 or 4 churches looking for an answer. But what it made me intrigued was every time that I was telling my stories, like something happened to me during my near death experience. Somebody here can explain me why this is happening. They didn't want to talk about it. And right there, I said, "Oh, guess what? They're hiding something here." And that's, I guess, when my awakening started coming. So, like, let me investigate this a little bit more, you know, because it's not possible that I went to 3 or 4 churches and they don't want to talk about near death, you know. And then I Google near death experience. I said to myself, maybe somebody in any part of the world have the same experience, or somebody went through the same. And then when I Google, millions of people have near death experience in the United States. One of every 10 Americans have a near death experience. Two
Wow.
weeks ago, I went to a party for friends that I have, like a party reunion from friends that I had 15 years without seeing them, you know. And when they knew that I wrote a book and it was about a near death, they asked me, a near death, but that happened just to you. It's like, no, that happened to one in every 10 Americans.
Wow.
And they said, like, really? And then in the same party, I have a near death. I have a near death. I have a... So everybody in the party starts saying, like, look, everybody here have a near death. But what? Everybody's afraid to talk. Everybody don't want to share their experience. But if you start asking for it, because some people think that this was their imagination or they were hallucinating. When this is happening the most is when people is in a hospital and they're going through a surgery or they're going through cardiac arrest, and then their soul come out of their body and they start floating around and start saying, but then they come back and it's like, what was that? But they never shared that with anybody. But then if they see somebody saying the same thing, that's when they open up and they start telling, this is happening to me too. Oh my God. And there is a lot of people. I mean, I even open a Facebook group. It's called Beyond Near Death Experiences. Beyond Near Death Experiences. Right now, I have almost 8,000 people there because people is telling the stories left and right. Because people wants to find a community. And every time that I'm sharing stories in my page, you can see people say, like, oh my God, this is not like religions put God that he's a God that he's bad and he's gonna go behind you and gonna do bad stuff. No, he's a God of love because everybody have a near death experience, come back transformed. And it's true. When I come back, I was like, you know what? I don't want to watch TV anymore. I need to spend more time with my friends, with my family. I need to go and do more good stuff with organization. I'm involved in Atlanta with the Food for Lives.
Yeah.
It's a non-profit organization that
Hmm.
on Saturdays we make food and we go to shelters and we get food to the homeless. Toys for Tots. I mean, you name it. Every time that you do a charity for others, your heart is getting big, because you're putting good deeds inside of you and giving good deeds to the world. Just give love to everyone. That's my message there. What do you think?
That's what all indie ears are saying. As long as I was watching some videos, they all say it's all about love.
Yeah, exactly. When you come back, you realize that this is temporary. Even in one of my videos, I said, in the Bible, there is a chapter that said, we came from dust and we will come back to dust. We will come back to dust. So what do you pretend to be famous and rich and like I'm the
Right.
best guy of everything? For what? You're gonna come back to dust, brother. So it's better that you be a good person and do good deeds and help people outside. So you're gonna take that in your heart, and that's the only thing that you're gonna take with you. All the good that you give to others, not the material things.
Well, let me ask you a couple of questions,
Okay.
Carlos. In your opinion, what is the purpose of life?
I wrote that on my book, and what I believe is the meaning of life is to find your purpose, right? The purpose of life is to give your purpose away. And your purpose is the biggest gift that you're going to give to humanity, is the biggest love that you bring to this world to give to others. And that's what you were chosen with that gift. And if you die with that music inside of you, it wasn't worth it for you to come to earth. That's why the people that go to the hospitals and they're dying, they ask you what they regret. And what they regret is all the things that they never did because they were so afraid and because somebody told them to don't do it. So don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until you're getting old. Don't wait for anything because never is going to be time to do what you really wants to do. You just need to jump. I mean, if you stay in your comfort zone all the time because you're fine and nothing happened there, you're never going to see miracles happen in your life.
Yeah, I want to quote here the log line of
Hmm.
your book. Actually, it says,
Hmm.
life is a manifestation of miracles every
Hmm.
day and every moment.
It's true. I mean, it happened to me a lot. So, and it's not just to me. I mean, you can speak with anyone, and every one of us, every human being, have miracles every day. But the thing is, you take it from granted.
Right.
It's like, this was nothing. But every day, a smile in the street, somebody smiling at you is a miracle. A baby laughing is a miracle. A flower that's open in the morning is a miracle. The breeze in the morning when you're walking is a miracle. The sunshine is a miracle. The ocean, the waves, everything is a miracle. The only thing that you have to do is look around you and find what is the miracle in front of you, you know? But if you take everything for granted, you will never see it, you know? But it's right there in front of you.
Well, let me ask you a couple more questions. Well,
All
first,
right.
where can people find more about your work, about you? Do you have any social media and stuff like that?
Okay. In social media, I have my web page. It's called www.helpfromheaven.org. O-R-G. Org. You can find there my story. You can find there how to get my books and the media. You can go to YouTube and type Carlos Vivas, V as in Victor, I, V as in Victor, AS. So you can see all the interviews. There are interviews here in the US, in Spain, in Italy, UK, all over the world, in Spanish, in English, and Italian. What else? I have two Facebook groups. My first Facebook group is called Beyond Near Death Experiences by Carlos Vivas. And the second is called Dolphins, just Dolphins by Carlos Vivas. So that's the way that you can find me out there if you want to see me.
And the name of the book again is Help from Heaven:
Help,
Miracles Happen When You Believe by
yes,
Carlos
right here.
Vivas. Yeah,
Help from heaven. Miracles happen when you. That's the book cover.
yeah.
I don't
And
have
it's a,
books right now because a lot of people ask me for books. I give all
yeah.
my books away.
I've seen a movie a few years back. I've seen a movie called All Is Lost.
Okay,
All Is Lost.
never
And
seen it.
Robert Redford, it's a full feature film. Robert Redford is the star, and it's only one actor,
Okay,
not one single word, not
okay,
one single line, all
wow,
by himself on a boat
okay,
in the ocean. And he is drowning. He doesn't have food, he's drowning or something. And when he drowns, goes under the water, he was like you. Okay, God, take me if you want. And suddenly he sees from the top, from the ocean, some light, like the sun is shining, and a hand comes and saves him.
wow.
It's amazing, amazing movie. It remind me about your story. So
Well, let me tell you something. The way that this book cover came, you're not gonna believe it, but was actually my barber. One day I went to cut my hair, and my barber said, like, "Carlos, do you have a book cover?" I said, "Like, yeah, brother, but that's the publisher. You know, they do that." And he said, like, "No, no, no, you need to get your book cover with a friend of mine." I said, like, "With a friend of you? What are you talking about?" There is another barber here that wrote a book, and he have an amazing book cover. I said, yeah, let me see. So he called the barber. He come to me and he showed me the book. I was like, wow, it's an amazing book cover. And they said, hey, could you give me the number? I said, well, this guy is like kind of priest in Dominican Republic, and he don't do this for everybody. It's like, come on, just give it to me. And I call him and talk to him. And then at the end, he gave me the number. I called this guy to the Dominican Republic, and the guy say, okay, Carlos, call me tomorrow and tell me your story, and I'm gonna put your whole story in one image. And I went with him. I spoke with like 3 4 hours about not just these miracles, more miracles. And then he came with this image, help from heaven. You
yeah,
know.
when I saw your cover of your book, it reminded me of that movie right away, All Is Lost, because all this hand coming from the water. It's
And
just
this is what my book. I mean, the name is like what everybody needs right now. You know, because
right,
everybody right now needs help from heaven. You know, everything that we're facing right now in this 2023 is being crazy.
right, right.
And people just need to go on their knees and say, God, just help me. I mean, whatever people is going through, just have the faith inside of them, you know, and believe that something good is going to happen and something is watching behind you.
Yeah.
And that's the hand that's going to come and rescue, you know.
Okay, my friend. And one more question.
Sure.
What is your final message to my audience?
My final message for the audience is just try to be the best version of yourself. If you came here to this world, it was to give an example to others. because there are gonna be other people that's gonna follow you, and you came here to give love. Just give love away. Try to help organizations in your community because people need a hand. Um, Try to help your neighbors. Another thing, don't be mad with your dad, with your mom, with your brothers and sisters. That's wasting of time. Believe me. I mean, you're going to be 10, 20 years without talking to your mom and dad, and then they have an accident, they die, and it's like, what I did. I lost all this time, you know? Another thing that I want to tell you is I did this exercise with a friend in 2017. We traveled from Atlanta to Los Angeles, all over the United States. We drove from this corner to the other corner in the United States. And when we were in the middle of the desert and I was driving, my friend said, Carlos, let's do an exercise that I know you're going to love. I said, what is it? We're going to call somebody right now that changed your life, but that person never knew that it changed your life. That person did something for you and you never had the time to call it and say thank you. Thank you, because if it wasn't for your advice or if it wasn't for you told me something, my life wouldn't be what it's going right now. And in that moment, I called somebody that I have like 10 years without talking with, and I start crying on the phone because it was a very, very, very powerful moment, you know? And I recommend you to do that. A best friend, somebody in your family, a neighbor, somebody that changed your life. Because at that moment, you're going to change yourself and you're going to change somebody else. And you guys going to change love between you guys. And you're going to feel that in your heart. It's
Yeah,
something
it's like a
beautiful.
ripple effect. It
It's a
gives
ripple
the
effect.
goes forward. Yeah, pay it
So
forward.
do your best for everybody else. You're here for a reason, and just give love. That's my message.
It's the same message from everybody. It's all about love.
Yes, it's true.
well, well, Carlos, thank you very much for coming to my show, to be guest on my show, and I appreciate you very much doing this work for helping people and with your book and your messages and your nonprofit organizations and stuff like that. I do appreciate that, and thank you very much for doing all this.
Well, thank you to you, Sergey, because with people like you, it's like these messages can go out and more people can enjoy these stories. It's like I said, this just not happened to me. What happened to me, I was pushed to talk and to say all this, but it happened to a lot of people. That if you go into your community and your family, you will find a lot of amazing stories and accidents and water and whatever, and you will see that we're not alone in this world, and we need to help one to another and give love. And that's the final message.
Thank you very much, Carlos.
Thank you, and God bless everybody that's watching this program. God bless you, Sergey. Thank you so much.